Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. So once again, a warm welcome to all the satsangis. Today's topic, as you all know, is titled The Touch of Consciousness. This is heavily inspired by the well-known text, popular Advaitic Manana text called Advaita Makaranda by Sri Lakshmidhara Kavi, and much of the interpretation learning has been drawn from my teacher Sri Prabhuji's talks on Advaita Makaranda. Therefore, at the very outset, I would like to make this offering to my guide, light, philosopher friend Sri Prabhuji, who's guiding me on the path of Advaita Makaranda, and to Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, who's been a great source of inspiration for me, whose teachings are, and in the book I Am That, has been very highly invaluable in terms of understanding Vedantic truths. And of course, the great sage Ramana Maharshi, whose path of self-inquiry, who am I, has also shaped my spiritual endeavor to a large extent. So, as I was thinking about this topic, one of the things that struck me was what makes experience possible. We all experience the world, and the world seems real to us. We all see the objects, the world of objects is infinitely large and huge. And then there is the experience of the world, which makes the experience possible. So what makes the experience possible? As I was going through, a few shlokas of Advaita Makaranda struck my attention, and therefore using that as the basis, I will draw upon this discussion today on the nature of experience, the possibility of experience, and of course, along the way, we will also discuss why do we feel so limited and how to overcome the limitation. So, Advaita Makaranda, in the very beginning, Sri Lakshmidhara Kavi makes an emphatic statement of the ever-shining, ever-present consciousness. After the first invocatory stanza to his guru, Sri Lakshmidhara Kavi opens the second stanza with a very, very bold statement. Ahamasmi sada bhami Kadachin naham apriyaha brahmaivahamatah siddham satchit ananda lakshanam. Aham asmi. I am existence. Sada bhami, ever shining. Kadachin naham apriyaha. I am never not dear to me at any time. Brahmaivahamata siddham. Those who have realized Brahmaiva, Brahman, have said that I am the nature of Sat Chit Ananda. Now, three attributes are given to each and every seeker here. Aham asmi, I am of the nature of existence. Now, if we recall, the poet or the author is not saying, I am the body. Aham asmi, I am of the nature of existence. What kind of existence? Not coming now and going later. Sada bhami, ever knowing, ever shining. Bhami is to shine. Shining, in this case, shining of the power of consciousness, that which on which light is thrown, shown, it shows up as jnana, as knowledge, as wisdom. Kadachin naham apriyaha. Now, why is the author saying that I am never not dear, apriya, not dear, na aham, I am never not dear. That means I am always dear to myself. Under what condition can I be dear to myself? Only when there is no separation between me and myself. Isn't it? That means I alone exist. I, capital I, which means I as consciousness alone exists. What does that mean? There is no other. Advaita, non-dual. In any other form of existence, if I exist and another person exists, then like and dislike, love and hate, all of these will come into play. So sometimes I'll feel I like myself or I like the other person. Sometimes I feel I don't like myself. I hate the other person. So I never not dislike myself means I am non-dual in nature. That's the only way that I can be dear to myself all times. Which means what? Me and myself, the distinction vanishes and only one being is present. And what is the nature of such a being as told by those who have realized Brahman? Sat Chit Ananda Lakshanam. That being is of the nature of existence, consciousness, and bliss. All together. None of these three missing in the entire package. Now, this is the very beginning of the text Advaita Makaranda. But our experience is otherwise. Our bliss, our happiness seems to be interrupted. With what? With likes and dislikes, love and hate, cooperation and enmity, and so many things, competitiveness and togetherness, jealousy and anger, love and hate. So many of these things interrupt our very nature. So it looks like our normal experience, day-to-day experience, is more of the other things than Sat Chit Ananda. Somewhere in between the gaps, in some intervals, Sat Chit Ananda rises up. Otherwise, our normal experience seems to be the experience of the world, which is oscillating between dualistic emotions like dislikes, raga, dvesha, and all of the rest of it. Now, we can easily accept that Brahman is non-dual, Brahman is Satchit Ananda. Now, the whole question before us is, how am I meaning each one of us gathered here, Sat Chit Ananda? How am I ever shining, Sada Bhami? How am I Aham Asmi, ever shining existence? That means eternal, infinite, and omnipresent. So, if we have to understand this, let's start from the very beginning. We all know that Adi Shankara in his Tattva Bodha has highlighted 6 stages that the body goes through, that each jiva goes through once he is born. Now, this is true of every composite. What do we mean by a composite? Anything that is put together by the coming together of multiple things. For example, mobile phone is put together by the processor, the display, the back plastic cover, the SIM card. So any composite that is put together by a combination of several parts will go through 6 stages. What are the 6 stages? Now, our body is also a composite, and therefore our body is also subject to the 6 variations in life, or the 6 major changes in life. What are they? According to Adi Shankara in his Tattva Bodha, the very first stage is existence, asti. Now, normally we consider birth as the very first stage. But before we touched this earth from our mother's womb, we came into existence first, isn't it? When did we come into existence? When one cell of our father and one cell of our mother came together and formed a single cell to grow into a fetus. How do we recognize this? Take, for example, the house that we live in, that we have built. Now, before it physically came into existence, was it not there before that? Yes, it was there as a house plan on the design sheet or in the design. Then before that, it was there as an idea. So what is the first seed of the house that physically manifested finally on the day of Graha Pravesha? It is actually an idea. Oh, I want to build a house. I want to own a house and build a house. So the existence is much prior to the birth. Then, of course, comes the physical manifestation of that idea. The body is, we are all born from our mother's womb and we have a date of birth. On such and such a day, we are born. After we are born, we all go through the phase of growth. And after we go through the phase of growth, we can't continuously keep growing. The growth stabilizes after some time, physically, mentally, the growth also stabilizes after some time. Now, this is what we call the period of consolidation or maturity. After a certain period during the Middle Ages, we even stop jumping from job to job. We settle down in a particular job. So this is a consolidation period where we think through what is life, what is the meaning of life, what is the relationship, everything. And we try to consolidate whatever we have gained, both in terms of knowledge, experience, as well as in terms of money and wealth, assets. Then comes the period of decline. After the middle age, obviously the energies will start declining and eventually decay or death. Now, this is inevitable part of any physical manifestation. Now, when this is a natural experience, everyday experience for most of us, how is the author of Advaita Makaranda claiming, Ahamasmi Sadabhami, I am ever shining existence? Obviously, we are not talking of the body. We are talking of the root of everything, the foundation of all existence, which is consciousness, which is the absolute consciousness. Now, if we go through right from the beginning, how does the unlimited become limited? It all starts with what are the three kinds of limitations? First is the space limitation. The second is the time limitation. And the third is the form limitation. Now, what happens with the space limitation? In our experience, how are we limited in space? Would anyone like to say?
Good morning, Namaskara, Padmini Ili. Yeah, we are
Yes.
limited because we think we exist in our house. We meet a certain set of people every day and we interact with them in their space or in whatever is closest to us where we inhabit on a daily basis. That becomes our limited space.
Wonderful. Thanks. So, thank you, Padmini. Anyone else?
Is what we are thinking of our world in our mind. Is it the limited space? Whatever we are thinking, we think that is the world for us.
Okay.
Each one of us, it may be, I may be thinking of one circle as my world. Somebody else may be thinking of another circle of friends or whatever as their world.
Okay.
So, are we limiting our thoughts to imagination to this much and think that it is our space?
So thank you, Suma. That's a wonderful thing. Suma is trying to say that our thoughts impose a limitation which is actually self-imposed, which is not really there.
Yes.
Right?
I was not able to express it.
All right. So that's another wonderful idea.
We can categorize as physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual spaces.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jankiram. So wonderful. So the basic idea of limitation in space, all of these are right, is I am born in the world. The world is already there. The world is already there as an infinite space, and I am a finite entity that is born in the world, goes through growth, maturity, decline, and death, and disappears from the world. So, in this situation, when when I consider myself, like Suma said, a self-imposed limitation, which is just an idea, that is what we don't question. It is actually only an idea, not a reality. Now, in the space limitation, what happens when I am born as a finite entity in the infinite space called the physical world? What happens? I can be here or there, never at two places at the same time, isn't it? Hmm? So this is, for example, I'm sitting here in my room in the satsang. I can't be in Jankiram's house at the same time. I can either be here or there at a given time. This is a limitation of space, essentially. And that's the basic definition. Isn't it so? What is the limitation of time? What is the limitation of time?
We are only in the present moment.
We are only in the present moment. Wonderful. If we are in the present moment, is there a limitation of time? What? Go ahead, please.
When we talk about time, we consider time as from the time of our birth till death.
Okay.
We feel that is the time of our life. But actually, we are in a limited time in the limitless time, because we are always there.
All right, wonderful. So that's a very nice way to put it. Kanaka is saying we are born, and then we have an infinite time, eternal thing called time, and then we are born, and then we pass through various phases and we die. So if we may ask, can we recall our childhood and youth? Yes, isn't it? Therefore, when was that?
Portions of them.
All right, at least some incidents. Not everything. We do agree. Memories may not be very strong. Only certain memories are strong. Thank God. Otherwise, our life today would have been a mess. But all the same, if we were to recall certain incidents or certain joyful moments of our childhood or youth, or when we meet our long lost friend after a long time, what is the first discussion that we open up? Oh, when we were together in school or college, this was what we were doing. Isn't it? Where is that youth now? Where is that childhood now? It's not there. So now it is different. So the childhood was then, but not now. It is never then and now, isn't it? Like that, so many things have passed in our life that doesn't come back. It is there today only as one thing. What is that? Only as our memory. Only in memory we can relive that situation again. But in reality, it has passed. All right. What is the limitation of form? How do we consider limitation of form? It is very simple.
It is biological, no? It's a biological process.
Okay, it is biological, plus it is also identity. Psychological plus biological. We'll see now how it is. Let's explore this. For example, I have a certain identity. I am Vasu. I am Vasu, and I can be only Vasu. I can't be Vani. I can't be Padmini. I can't be Janki Ram. So what happens? The same complementary thing is also true. You cannot be me. I cannot be you. So the limitation of form is I can be only myself and none other than myself. So I can be this or that. Isn't this a limitation? If I were to, now let us see if we have to transcend these three limitations, what would be experience? From here or there, it will be here and there. Simultaneously, I can be present at the same time in multiple places. Isn't it? From then or now, it will be then and now, which means every time, forever. And then from this or that, we will move to this and that. I can be this as well as that, then as well as now, here as well as there. What does this translate to? Here and there. Here and there means everywhere. Everywhere is what is omnipresent. Obviously, there must be a state of being. For example, if we take the mobile radio wave, for example, microwave, that is microwave signals that the mobile phones operate on. Now, when we speak, the waves of sound are carried by the microwave as a signal. Now, is the microwave, is the discontinuity there between the microwave signals, between the sender and the receiver? No, it is simultaneous. It is here, the signal is here, and simultaneously as I speak, you can hear. For example, this very internet call on Google Meet. We are all logging in from different places. I'm speaking from Jainagar. There are people, Padmini is logging in from US. Now, Jankiram is logging in from other part of Bangalore, which is far away. But there is simultaneity possible when we move from the gross to the subtle, even in the physical plane. Now then think of consciousness. Why is consciousness then limited? It cannot be limited.
But can microwave be simultaneous between us and moon?
Well, there is a carrier. We should not extend, we must look at these physical examples. There is a carrier required, the atmosphere required to actually go and carry those signals. So it will work within the boundary layers of the atmosphere. Satellite communication operates at a different frequency in space. So if you are talking of communications in space, we have to go to satellite communication. So
Okay, thanks.
welcome. But But all these examples, please take it within the boundary conditions to express a certain principle, a
Clear.
certain
Yes.
truth. Beyond that boundary condition, if we try to stretch the example, it might not hold, it will not hold good. It is not meant to illustrate that point. But still, what happens is, even in the physical, what we are trying to say is, even in the physical plane, omnipresence can be a close reality. There can be slight delays in the signals which can be ignored, but otherwise, communication technology is a good example of the presence of intelligence or signals or information here and there at the same time. This satsang, for example, online satsang, is a classic example of the presence of audio signal between the sender and the receiver at the same time. So, if we just shift our attention from gross to subtle, we can overcome the limitation. Science tries to overcome the limitation through technology. Spirituality overcomes the limitation by proper understanding, which is vichara and jnana. Now, time limitation, then and now, that is, then and now is eternal, ever present. Consciousness as I is ever present. We think, when I say I was born on a certain date, I went to this school and I went to this college, the body, mind, intellect, all of these and the physical situations have changed. But then who recognizes the I who recognizes the one who went to school during childhood and the one who went to college in his youth and the one who was working in the middle age and today? That I is constant. It was there then, it is there now, in spite of the changes with the body, mind, intellect, the physical environment. These things have all changed, but recognizing that the same I that has been there, that is then the same I that was there is also now. This is what we call then and now, which is eternal. This and that. What would be a situation where this and that is possible? How can I be this and that? When there is no distinction between this and that. When the limitation of form is transcended, when we get into a formless state, then I can either be this and or that, and that at the same time, the potential state. So what is this? This is infinite. And what does infinity mean? Infinity means no other, whole. So if I'm limited by form, I'm finite, so I can only be this or that. Aren't these on the right-hand side the attributes of Brahman? Omnipresence, eternity, and infinity. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Now, the only challenge that we have and the puzzle that we have to solve is, how am I this? I can agree that Brahman is infinite, Brahman is eternal, Brahman is omnipresent. So the question before us is, how can I be all of these? That's the puzzle that we have to solve, and that is the process of sadhana and realization. This is the task ahead of us for all seekers. Now, if we start from the very beginning, the very first thing is aham, the I principle that is infinite. This is not I thought, it is aham, the very existence. Aham asmi, that I that exists. Now, for the purposes of representation, there is a boundary of that I, but that is only an artificial boundary. I is infinite. Intentionally, we have put it in dotted lines so that we recognize that actually this is a porous boundary that is actually boundaryless. But let's take it that aham is infinite. Now, from this source, the source of everything, aham, I, there comes, this is a vast expanse of infinite. That is the only thing that exists. Nothing else exists. Now, it is said that in the beginning, this I got bored of itself, Brahman, and so it wanted a duplicate of itself, and therefore it invented I am, which is a small dot. I am is the feeling of I exist, that which gets reflected in the individual inner instrument called antahkarana. Now, it is like we can imagine the sunlight that reflects on water. The reflection of the sun in water is a small dot which has the qualities of the sun in a sense, because it has light, it can also throw light. And it's just a dot, it is not attached to anything. It is like a definition of a point in our primary school. What did the teacher, science teacher say, geometry teacher say about what the point is? The point has no dimension. The line has one dimension, length. The square has two dimensions, length and breadth. Cube has three dimensions, length, breadth, and width. Now, from the infinite, from the only one, from the source I, came about I am the feeling. And this I am is called I thought, aham vritti. And with this I thought, there is another thing. When I come, will I be alone? I see the world in front of me. So there is the idam vritti, or this thought, that is there simultaneously, which is of the world, which is of everything other than me. And there are two types of idam vrittis. One is the body, mind, intellect, which is closely attached to me, very close to I thought. And the other type of this thought is the inanimate objects, car, house, phone, everything, and the animate people, energies. And people includes animals and every living entity. Why is this thought classified into two different ways? Why is there a difference? Because body, mind, intellect pertains to me very closely. And these two functions, this idam vrittis, express themselves differently, which we will see. Now, if they remain like that, there isn't a problem. But the I thought will not allow this thought, aham vritti will not allow idam vritti to remain as it is. I thought will interact with this thought. In simple terms, this thought means this thought, all the thoughts about the world, which will include objects, relationships, possessions, and identities. All right. Now, what happens when I thought interacts with this thought? What happens? What do you think happens?
You get involved.
Get involved.
And
Okay.
like and dislike starts.
Likes and dislike, but fundamentally the process, see, how does it start? Very nicely, very nice. Remember,
First, we become aware of everything, awareness.
okay, we become aware, but then what happens? The body, mind, intellect belongs to this thought, but then it moves into, I identify with the body, mind, intellect, and I become the body, mind, intellect. So it's a strong identification. This is me, the personality. What was formless as I am, when it takes a shape with the body, mind, intellect, it acquires a form and it becomes ego, ahankar. When the formless aham, when a form attaches to the formless aham, it becomes ahankara. Now, this is the function of identity of idam vritti with aham vritti. So, if we want to define who I am, I will proudly say I am 5 feet 6 inches tall. In Kannada, they say, isn't it Godi Banna? Sadharana Maikat, fair complexion with a beard. All of those attributes will come to me. This is a strong identity. Now, what happens to the second part of idam vritti? The one at the bottom. Okay, the first part of idam vritti, this thought of the world, does the body belong to me actually? It belongs to the world. Why? Because body is comprised of the 5 elements. And 5 elements is a property of the world, idam. But I identify with it so strongly that I make it mine. I identify it and I say, I am the body, mind, intellect. And this is what this strong association is called the ego. What happens to the other part of this thought or the thought of the world? Car, house, phone, spouse, children, parents, anything, assets, properties, ideas, profession, they also belong to the world. What happens to that? That gets converted into mamakara, which is called mine. My car, my house, my phone, my wife, my parents, my children. So there are 2 things that aham vritti does. It identifies that which is very close to itself and tells this is me. And then what is outside of me, which is gross and other things, it starts possessing. It starts possessing and says, all this is mine. Now, why is this happening? This is happening for one reason. Because I am, the body, mind, intellect is limited. It's small and it seeks to expand to become infinite. How do I expand? By allowing all that is not mine into my area of life. And this is what is called attachment. Spiritually, none of these actually belong to me, but I make it mine for one reason, to expand. And what is the reason for expansion? I treat myself as limited. I want to move from finite to infinity. So if we see this, if we see this particular chart, the effect of I thought, where is the limit of expansion? Where is the limit of acquiring attachment, desire? What is the limit? What would be the limit? My car, my house, I am the body, mind, intellect. I can't expand too much. I am limited. So I seek expansion to make everything that is not mine, mine. So what is the limit? What is the limit? Anybody? The world, the entire world is the limit. And is the world finite? Creation, universe is infinite. That is why desires never can be drowsed by fulfilling. And unfortunately, the I am, the body, mind, intellect notion has sought a wrong approach to turn itself from finite to infinite by trying to acquire more and more things. This is the effect of I thought on this thought. A part of this thought, it will identify strongly with body, mind, intellect, and a loose part of this thought that is not me, it will start possessing, saying everything I want it to be mine. Including this funny thing about I want to realize myself. Where is that desire coming from? From the notion that I am limited, I am unrealized. Now we will see that that is only a notion. It is not reality. It is a wrong idea. And that is why the 8th shloka of Advaita Makaranda says, Na deho na indriyaha chaham na prano na manah na dhi. So I am not the body, mind, intellect or prana or mind. All right. Because why? Because all of these, okay, mama tapa paritabdha kridatvadidam dhiyaha. Idam, all of these, the entire world is a play of this thought. And the whole life is a play between interaction between I thought and this thought. Now, if you go prior to the I thought, then there is nothing to be done. But till such time that we realize that it's a play of I thought and this thought that is making constant interaction as me and mine and possessions, then we will keep on seeking more and more. But what is the realization? The body, mind, intellect, energy, which is prana, all of these are a play of I thought in the field of this thought. What is this field of this thought? The universe. Now, this is a typical thing that happens, and this is what the poet, the author of Advaita Makaranda is saying in the 8th shloka. All right. So as we move, now comes how this is possible. How this interaction, how this experience is possible. How did the world come into being? Now, in the sixth shloka of Advaita Makaranda, Lakshmidhara Kavi says, Abha rupasya vishwasya bhanam bhasa sannidham vina chinnahava kalpet bha cha nam taina savargaha. That means abha rupasya vishwasya, the inert universe. Bha means that which is enlivened, shining. Abha is inert. Abha rupasya vishwasya, the world which is inert, which has full of inert forms, acquires meaning or can be experienced. Bhanam can be experienced. How? Bha sannidher vina, without the proximity of consciousness, the world of forms cannot be experienced. This is a wonderful statement made in Vedanta. That means for experience to be possible, the infinite or the consciousness must be in close proximity with the inert objects. Only then the objects can be experienced by the subject. For experience to happen, there must be a subject and an object. The subject is consciousness, object is inert. Chetana, Jada. Now, only when Chit and Jada, Chetana and Jada, come close to each other is experience possible. And therefore, if I have to know an object, the light of my knowing or awareness must shine on the object. Isn't it so? If I have to know the laptop in front of me, then my eyes must open and see, and my mind must interpret it as an object, an image, and the intellect will interpret it as a laptop. Therefore, I, the subject, must be in proximity with the inert object. Now, if I am not in proximity, if the subject is not in proximity with the inert object, there is no way that I will know the object, isn't it? For example, do I know anything that is happening outside this room or outside this house? No, it doesn't. It is not there in my world, because my awareness, the light of my awareness, which is reflected awareness, Chidabhasa, has not shown on the object that is outside the room. Therefore, for any experience to happen, Chit and Jada must come together, at least close together. Close together. They never can touch each other, which we will see as it when we move along. All right. So the root is aham, the I, the consciousness, that must be in proximity with any object to make the experience of that object possible. Without the subject, the experience of the object is not possible. Now, now, when that is the case, now how, if I am the limited object, then I am subject to destruction. And Vedanta says there are three modes of destruction. One is natural cause. What is natural cause? In simple terms, it is wear and tear, aging, within the realm of time. Any new object that we get today, by tomorrow or a few days later, at least the color will fade, properties will deteriorate. This is a natural cause for any object that is a composite or a limited by its form, time, space, and form. So the moment anything is subject to time, wear and tear, aging is natural. That is what we term as natural. Then there are external causes. External causes, I can fall and break my bone, fracture, external cause. An accident, something can hit me and I can get injured. An accident, for example, is an external cause, or flood is an external cause. It might destroy property, it might destroy even lives. Life in the sense of a physical life. Then the third one is support. What is support? That which is dependent on the existence of that particular object is removed. For example, I need food to survive. If the support of food is removed from this body, that means food is denied to this body. Will this body survive? No. If breath is denied to this body, will the body survive? No. Therefore, as long as the support structure is there to sustain that object will continue its existence. But if the support structure for that object is removed, then slowly it will deteriorate and it will get destroyed. So these are three basic causes for survival as well as destruction. As long as these three causes are supporting the object will continue to survive. When they are denied these things, they will go away. They will get destroyed. Now, Advaita Makaranda is saying that naswataha pratyabhignat vignanat niramshatvan na chanyataha. Naswataha, that means I cannot be destroyed by myself as a natural cause, as a function of time. Why? Because I recognize myself always. Now, this recognition is a very funny thing. It is a function of actually consciousness, the power of knowledge, plus memory. If I say I recognize my childhood, then the memory must be there. At least some little memory must be there. And then the I also must be there to recognize that childhood. That when I was a child, this was the game I played with my friend. Therefore, the very fact that I can recognize, that recognition of the events, past events is available to me today. Natural causes, that means time-related causes, wear and tear, aging, will not impact my existence. To whom? It will impact the body, no doubt. But it can never impact the I, because recognition is continuously available. And external causes will not impact me. External causes of destruction will not impact me. Why? Niramshatvan. I am partless. Now, if I am composed of different parts, the body is composed of different organs and cells and tissues. Now, the body can get destroyed because it's composed of parts. Eventually it will get destroyed. But what about the consciousness? It is partless, it is whole, it is without any parts, it is akhanda. Therefore, the one that is whole, what can external thing do to that whole thing, to that complete entity? It is powerless. I cannot perish when the support is removed. Why? Because I am independent. I support everything. I, as consciousness, support everything in the universe, whereas universe doesn't support I. Therefore, I is eternal, infinite, and also omnipresent, indestructible. This is by our everyday experience, that we see, not even as a philosophy. Then there is this shloka that says that 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 space cannot be dried by air, cannot be burnt by fire, cannot be made wet by water or cut by earth. Then what about I, the consciousness? None of these are possible to I. Why is the author saying this? Space is still a physical aspect, but the subtlest of the physical aspect. Earth, water, fire, air, and space. Right? The space is the subtlest of the Panchabhutas. The other four elements of the existence, physical existence, cannot impact the subtlest element of space, isn't it? Because space can accommodate anything. Nothing happens whether anything burns. Nothing happens to the space if the forest is burnt. Nothing happens to the space if the entire village is flooded, wet. Like this, we can go on analyzing. The space, physical space itself, is immune to any impact of the other four elements of nature. Then what about consciousness, which is of a different level of reality than even space, which is subtler than space? It obviously has no impact on any of these. Now, what is the author of Advaita Makaranda trying to show? Show that not only Brahman is indestructible, even I, as consciousness, am indestructible. I, as the body, can be destroyed. I, as the mind, can be destroyed. I, as the intellect, also can be destroyed. But I, as consciousness, is indestructible. All right. Now, here is the crux of the whole issue. Can there be a relationship between two inert objects, a two-wheeler and a four-wheeler? Obviously, no. Two inert objects cannot experience each other because there is no consciousness that gets reflected in them actively. The subtle antahkarana is not active. It is present as in a different form as existence, but the experience is not possible, isn't it? Now, if can consciousness experience itself? One may say if two people come together, they may experience. We may say the individual consciousness, my consciousness and your consciousness, can experience each other. No, actually, what are we talking about in this case? My consciousness and your consciousness are a reflected consciousness. For example, the form may be different. You and I may be different. Now, just think of it this way. Take two objects, a fan and a light bulb, object A and object B. What is the source of the fan? Electricity. What makes the fan rotate? Electricity. What is the source of the light bulb? What makes the light bulb glow? Electricity. So, the source of both these different forms, which is consciousness, is the same, electricity. Can one electricity experience another? No. Even if there were to be two, it cannot be, because electricity is the same. First of all, two electricities are not there. Therefore, while in function, two entities may be different. In form and function, they may be different. In expression, they may be different. The source is the same consciousness. It is one consciousness. When it is one, they cannot be experienced. Therefore, what makes experience possible? Only when consciousness meets inert object. In no other condition, experience is possible. Isn't it? A subject must meet an object. Meeting does not mean physically meeting, meeting even in proximity. We'll see how physically they cannot meet. Now, this is what the shloka is saying, that without consciousness, no experience is possible. Without experience and without sentient and insentient being, experience is not possible. And without the coming together of sentient subject and object can be related only in one way, by way of superimposition. Adhyasa is what they are saying. And therefore, if superimposition is removed, who am I? What am I? I am Advaita. I am non-dual. Only superimposition makes the I appear as something different from its original. For example, when the sunlight reflects on a mirror, if the mirror is dirty or if the mirror is tainted, then the reflection may be appearing differently from the original sunlight. But the sunlight is never the same, never changing. Therefore, if you remove the mirror by understanding, not physically, then the superimposition, then what happens? What am I? I am the one and only consciousness, there without any other. I am Advaita. All right? And therefore, what kind of relationship is possible with consciousness and matter? Initially, one may think there is a temporary relationship, samyoga. That means relationship exists as long as there is a function with it. For example, I am wearing a shirt. The relationship between the t-shirt and the body exists as long as I wear it. It's a temporary relationship. Once I remove it, to bathe, then that relationship is lost. Is relationship between consciousness and matter like that? No, it cannot be temporary, because consciousness and matter are at two different levels of reality. Matter is at one level of reality, consciousness is at another level of reality. All right. Then there is another kind of relationship possible, which is inseparable. You have all heard the high school or the primary school phrase, the rose is red and the grass is green. We cannot separate the red color from the rose. We cannot separate the green color from the grass. If we try to separate, what happens? The grass will be destroyed. So is consciousness like that? If you destroy matter, will consciousness be destroyed? No, it is not like that. It is an intimate, inseparable relationship? No, it is not even that. The third one, okay, cause-effect relationship. Karya-karana sambandha. Is Brahman or consciousness the cause of the world? Is it like that? For example, if we put to the milk, if we put some curds to leave it, to set it, to make it a set curd, then what happens? If it's a cause-effect relationship, the cause must be transformed into a different form, into the effect. Once the milk becomes curd, it is not reversible, isn't it? So what happened to the cause? What happened to the milk? It's gone. Is the cause-effect relationship between consciousness and matter like that? No. Therefore, cause-effect relationship also is not applicable to consciousness and matter. There is only one way in which consciousness and matter can be thought to be related. That is superimposition. When matter gets superimposed on consciousness, then inert matter gets enlivened. The inert body becomes enlivened when consciousness reflects in the body. Now remove the superimposition. When the body dies, when the body gets injured, will consciousness get injured? No. If the body dies, will consciousness die? No. Nothing will happen to consciousness. Therefore, the only way that the eternity of consciousness, even as I experience this world, is possible, is my true nature I. Upon that I, this thought gets superimposed. Upon I thought, this thought gets superimposed, and two things happen. One is I assume a personality because of the superimposition, and I acquire possessions that gives me an identity. Now, what is realization, therefore? Realization is just seeing through the superimposition and knowing the true I. That is what Lakshmidhara Kavi is saying. So if we have a gift wrap or a chocolate with a wrapper, all right, what is the relationship between the wrapper and the gift? Practically nothing. There is no real relationship. The gift was there before it was wrapped. The gift will continue to be there after the wrapper is torn and destroyed. The gift inside the gift wrapper is untouched by the gift wrapper. This is the effect of superimposition. What do we need to do to realize our own true nature? Just untie the gift wrap, open the gift wrap. That means remove the superimposition. Now, this is not physical in our in the case of enlivened beings. It is by knowledge or vichara or jnana. The body cannot be physically removed from consciousness. You can't cut the body and say, I will find consciousness. If we cut the body like in an operation theater, we'll only find flesh and blood. We'll find more of the body. So to realize our true nature as consciousness, through jnana, we must unwrap all the superimpositions that are overlaid on the original self. And what did Adi Shankara say for that process? Neti, neti, neti is unwrapping. Then iti is the realization of the true nature. Okay? So this is what actually will happen. So the realization that in effect, though I am eternal, unlimited, infinite, I appear limited because of superimposition. And when we remove superimposition, the same infinite nature continues to remain and comes into our field of existence. Thank you so much. Appreciate your patient participation and listening. If you have any questions, we can take one or two before we close.